PGA European Tour is brought to you by Volvo.
The Costa del Sol in southern Spain and the toughest golf course in Europe. Valderrama above the Porto Sotogrande in Andalusia. The 9th Volvo Masters and the last of this famous venue, which next year will host the Ryder Cup. The battle for places is well and truly on. The President's Cup is the target for Mark McNulty, and the Zimbabwean led this tournament by 4 shots overnight from a log jam of players, 6 in all. (72, 69, 67), 5 under par after 3 rounds, getting better every day, McNulty, but behind him the likes of Riley, Westwood and Frank Nobilo from New Zealand. Gary Orr there too, Jose Caceres from Argentina and Andrew Oldcorn. It's Mark Robson coming to you live from the course today, and joined this afternoon for the 2nd day in a row, I'm delighted to say, by Ross McFarlane. Let's hope we get a thrilling climax to this final tournament of this 25th European Tour season. And Ross, Frank Nobilo lining up his putt here, but you had a smashing round yourself this morning, I believe.
Oh yes, well, even blind squirrels get acorns sometimes, I suppose. Yeah, it was a good round for me today. Nice to post a good score for your last round of the season, I suppose, so I'm happy, and hopefully it'll continue into the new year.
Yes, Ross shot a 67 this morning, and only Andrew Oldcorn has bettered that score this week with a 66. Frank Nobilo has not had a good start. He was many people's tip this morning to be maybe the best bet of those 1 under par to catch Mark McNulty, but he's dropped 3 shots, 2 in a row. That's 6 and 7. He's at 6s and 7s a bit there, 3 over par. Did you expect him to be one of the main contenders today, or main pressers?
And definitely he was probably one of the favourites for, in my eyes. A very, very dogged campaigner when he's playing in the real pressure cauldron, and he's probably very disappointed at this moment in time, because he knows he can do a lot better than this.
And there's the leader on the 8th tee, Mark McNulty. He's now just 2 shots clear of Jose Caceres, and the Spanish crowd here supporting Caceres. He may be Argentinian, but at least he speaks the right language, and that'll do rightly, as will that tee shot. I imagine that the last place you want to go here, Ross, I think, is left.
Absolutely. I was on the left-hand side today, and I had a very tough shot under and over a tree, and it leaves no shot to this flag, because the flag's only 5 yards on from the front edge today, and there's a little bank just behind that, so what you're hoping to do is get it on the fairway, get your short iron with plenty of spin so you can bring the ball back towards the hole for that front pin. Very tough approach today.
Andrew Oldcorn at the 10th, and the pin quite a bit from where his ball finished. And talking of treacherous pin positions, no bother to you here, the 10th, Ross. I think you birdied this one, but again, it's right at the front of the green.
It is, yeah. Only a few yards on. I think 6 yards on. In particular, your important thing is to get your tee shot on the fairway here with the pin tucked on the front. You want a little bit of spin, so you hit it up into this corner here with a little bit of spin, with maybe a wedge or maybe a little 9-iron to this front right today. Unfortunately, if get a little bit too much spin, it comes right down that very sharply cut front edge and can go up to 50 or 60 yards away.
Which is exactly what happened to Severiano Ballesteros this morning. Landed in the green, spun back, and away it went. Lee Westwood is 2 under par, and he's approaching the turn. Wayne Westner has blasted from the blocks. 1 under par now, out in 32, 3 under par, birdied the 10th, and has parred the 11th. So a challenge from darkest Africa.
Lee had a very difficult position in that bunker. He's got an uphill putt here, so he's got a good chance he can give it a firm wrap at the hole. A little bit from the right, as you saw. Just not firm enough up into the hill, and the grain grabbed it and pulled it away to the left.
This 9th hole, standing in the tee, it looks straightforward enough, a straight enough hole, but it's ranked the toughest hole on the course this week.
Yeah, it is. Has a very small target, a very small green with quite a severe slope from left to right, and the fairway itself also slopes from left to right, and usually the ball peels off into the right-hand rough, and the one thing you want is some spin on the ball to keep it on the green, and unfortunately it's very difficult to do on that hole.
Paul Broadhurst. And we mentioned this yesterday, that very few putts that touch the lip actually go in.
No, very, very fine, sharp edges on the cups. Testament to the quality of the greens. They're putting quite beautifully on a nice speed. Well, you have to be very careful of the grain, which can alter the speed quite dramatically. And this putt from Jose comes a little from the right-hand side, and it's into the grain a little, so you can give it a good wrap.
But Caceres drops a shot. Still a pretty good front nine, out in 34, but now 3 shots behind McNulty, who dropped a shot at the 7th hole, his first drop shot of the day, having birdied the 3rd. Now Westner at 12. Another very difficult hole on this course.
6. Shot there, Wayne.
But he's played that pretty well. I noticed this morning Wayne Westner was having a cup of coffee with Guy Hunt. So maybe he's learned a little bit more about the pin placements than everybody else. It's a fine shot by McNulty, and looks as if he may respond to that drop shot with an immediate birdie. And not the sort of player you would expect, Ross, to back off in a leading position.
Well, a very doggy campaigner. He will definitely be firing at the pins, making sure he's wonderful at getting the ball in the right place on the greens. And with such a good touch with the putter, he'll be a tough man to catch today, I think. Peter Mitchell here on the 12th. A tricky putt he has here. It's very grainy, and they recently raised the back of this green. So this putt you will see just turning a little from the right-hand side, and it's pretty quick. Watch how softly he hits this putt. Oh, there you go. I think he's pretty pleased with that one. Stop the rot, I think.
Yeah, this 12th hole ranked 2nd toughest at Valderrama. They're all tough here, but some meaner than others. So it's still McNulty 3 shots clear. Caceres 2 under. Westner, Oldcorn and Westwood 1 under par. So just 5 players under par. Sam Torrance has gone out in 33 and he's parred the 10th. So Sam, who had a 68 yesterday, continues the good form. Hasn't been the best of seasons for Sam after last season, which really was for Sam a golden year, wasn't it?
Well, a lot of people were thinking, where has it come from? But he was playing better and better at golf over the last 3 or 4 years. And I don't know, it's this Ryder Cup year always seems to bring out these older, can I say older, campaigners. They want to have a real good go. They all want to play in the Ryder Cup.
And no doubt Seve will have a look at the players who have played this course well. I mean, Sam has played the venue well this week so far.
Exactly. I mean, he'll be keeping an eye on everybody, looking at the youngsters who are up there, like Lee Westwood and Gary Orr and even David Carter. And, of course, Paul Broadhurst, who's sort of been working hard all week and is currently 1 under for his round today, lying in joint 9th position at 2 over par.
Yeah, and Paul certainly showed he had the bottle for the Ryder Cup, didn't he, when he played?
No, he was a very good man to have on the team at Kiowa Island, and he had a wonderful win. in the singles. Another Mark Almira, I believe.
Yes, my old school chum, David Fairdy, had a great win that day when he beat the then US Open champion Payne Stewart, 2-1. Now Westner. Oh dear, well, he played a good bunker shot, and that halts the momentum for him. It's his first drop shot of the day, and he went racing out in 32, and he's now back at level par. On the 10th tee, Westwood. He gives the ball a queer crack, as they say in my part of the world.
Yeah, he's a very strong young lad. He's quite aggressive player. Leading the birdies made throughout the year so far. Just made one more birdie than Paul Broadhurst has. And suppose there might be a little battle between those two this week.
Wayne Riley playing with the leader, Mark McNulty. But he's now gone to 3 over par. That's 4 bogeys in a row for the Portuguese Open champion.
Yet again, this course baring its teeth to the leaders and even the ones early out in the morning with the best greens. The average sort of score would be around about the 74, 75 mark, which you would think is very high for a European tournament, but this, of course, is some course.
So McNulty at the 8. Oh, wow, that was a great opportunity there. And pulled it left, obviously, as you can see. Seemed to strike it firmly enough. And it's only a par for McNulty, but he's still 3 shots clear of Caceres. We'll be back very shortly. The leader of the Volvo Masters, Mark McNulty, on the 10th tee in the shadow of this Andalusian design clubhouse. Palatial it is too. Looks to be in good shape. Yes, I was honoured last night to be invited to a cocktail party in the clubhouse hosted by Mr. Patino, the owner himself. And there's the 3 men battling for the Henry Cotton Rookie of the Year award. And it doesn't, or isn't decided on the money list entirely. It is down to a panel of experts, so we'll have to wait and see who they select. And Riley's fallen right out of the frame on the front 9. 4 bogeys in a row. And out at 39, 4 over par. Out on the back 9, Wayne Westner has birdied 13. He dropped a shot at 12, so that gets him back to 1 under par. Thomas Bjorn, Raymond Russell, Padraig Harrington, they've all won on tour this season. Bjorn most recently at Loch Lomond in the World Invitational. And a very difficult decision for the panel of judges to decide who that award goes to. So the 11th hole at Valderrama, 547 yards, par 5. And again, it's played pretty tough this week for a par 5, averaging 4.92. Not as tough as the 17th, but pretty good par 5, Ross.
Yeah, it plays it very well. Your ideal situation is to hit the ball down the left off the tee shot and then carry this left-hand bunker we're just going over to this area just opposite the right-hand trap, leaving you around about 65, 70 yards to a green set up right on the top of the hill. As you can see, Jose, the flag fluttering just in the distance. He's trying to keep it up the left side over that bunker, but he'll find it difficult from that rough, trying to get any control on the ball.
Yeah, a lot of players came in from that angle over the last few days, but the pin was set on the other side of the green, wasn't it, yesterday? So it was a slightly better angle than today. Is it left side today?
It's on the front left today, about 12 paces on.
Ian Woosnam, 7 over par, playing with a back support today. It's looked a bit like the sort of bandana you wear when you've got the dinner suit on, but he may face an operation in the close season to fuse a couple of vertebrae, or at the very least have some bone shaved off them, which sounds very nasty indeed. Nobilo, who I noticed this morning on the practice ground, raises his right eyebrow at impact.
Perhaps that keeps his weight in perfect balance. And there's no finer one with a balance than Frank Nobilo. It's a good swing to watch if you want to copy something.
Well, I'm going to try that eyebrow raising to see if it makes any difference next week. Very Sean Connery-like, of course. Nobilo of the film star looks, so most appropriate. As the bunkers here at Balderrama look as if they've been combed by hand. Beautiful condition.
Jose's faced with a shot of around about 85 yards here. Slightly uphill. The green just on the top of the hill. Pin tucked 12 yards from the front and 3 yards from the left-hand side. Difficult to get any spin, but he's coming into the wind a little, so he should be able to control it a little. I'll be very disappointed with that. Easy for this Bermuda-type rough to grab hold of your club face and twist the ball over into a left-hand area, i.e. the bunker.
McNulty second to the 10th.
Well, very unlucky there not to spin back. Well, having played with Mark McNulty, I've noticed he always seems to take an extra club and hit it softer. So maybe we should all learn a little bit about that.
Yeah, as I was saying earlier, seems to caress the ball. And he almost holed out at the 10th yesterday for a 2. Old Corn. And this is for a bogey, so obviously he's found considerable trouble in the trees left, where he deposited his tee shot. So Old Corn, who was maintaining the pressure on McNulty, having birdied 11. Looks like he's going to hand at least one back here. So wait for confirmation, but that looks like it's going to be a double bogey for Old Corn, which takes him back to join Sam Torrance at level par. And up it comes on the computer we have here in the commentary box, I'm glad to say, and it is indeed a double bogey at the 12th. Now Westwood at the 11th, playing with Jose Caceres. Beautiful day here in southern Spain, sun shining, but dull this morning. Another cracking shot from Westwood. Slight breeze today, but has the wind been fairly consistent in terms of direction all week, Ross?
Basically been in the same direction all week. As the players are playing the 11th, it's virtually straight into their face, a little off the left-hand side. Wayne Westner faced with a very fast down-grain putt here. He thought he'd only hit that about 2 feet in front of him, and there it is, some foot short of the hole.
Torrance at 13 to get into the red numbers.
Oh, Sam, hit it!
Sam with a bit of DIY commentary there. So that's a par for him. He's begun the back 9 with 4 of them. And 5 shots behind McNulty Just when it seems that someone is about to put a bit of pressure on McNulty, they drop back. But is it that sort of a course? It's very difficult to maintain a charge. It's so difficult.
It is. It's not the sort of course you can go out and say, right, I'm going to hit it at every single flag. I'm going to have a go at every putt. It sort of jumps up and grabs you, and you can actually play quite solid golf and turn around and shoot 74, 75, and you think, oh, I can't believe that's happened today. And you go through your round and you realise, you know, it's the course's way of saying, just take it easy, son.
It's a bloodsucker.
And it's one that people should come and play and realise for yourself how tough it is.
Westwood. Oh my goodness, that is unbelievable. Well, it will be Lee Westwood. I think that's the first sort of horseshoe type putt I've seen this week.
The only one I've had has been on the putting green. Bigger lip out than Mick Jagger, that one. You can see the treacherous downhill putt that Wayne Riley left himself on 10.
Yeah, with enough of a rush of blood, you could potentially putt that off the front of the green and end up 50 yards away. I wouldn't like to be in that back bunker today at the 10th.
Well, if you are in that back bunker, you're a long, long way away from the flag. That back bunker is some 30 yards from where the pin is today. The only reason that anyone would go in there is if they had a flyer. I don't really see anybody going in there, as this is the last match now.
Well, I could rib it in there from almost anywhere with no problem. And Wayne Riley, no birdies on his card today. Plenty of little blue numbers, and on the computer screen, light blue means bogey. And another little powder blue number for Wayne Riley, which is not good news. So he drops into a tie for 15th place, having started the day tied second.
This is a particularly quick putt that Mark has left himself. And downhill, down grain. I think we'll go and have a barbecue tonight. This is where you need the cashmere insert on the face of the putter. But Mark will see this as a great opportunity to put a little more daylight between him and Jose Caceres.
No, fine putt by McNulty. Super putt. Well, it was travelling at a fair old pace. But in she pops. And the leader moves to the 11th tee with a 4-shot lead now over Jose Caceres. And here he is. And this is for a par. A few problems up the left-hand side of this par 5. And that's a good putt. Excellent putt by Caceres there. But McNulty began the day 4 shots clear, and he's still 4 shots clear. And here's one man who could put a little bit of pressure on if he can get another couple of birdies squeezed out of this golf course before the finish. And it's a great shot by Westner, and the pin today, Ross, in a difficult position.
It's almost a blind dogleg par 3 today. It's a long way away from here. 228 yards it is, the 15th today. But this is 219 yards worth of the 11th, of the 12th, sorry. And Jose Caceres yet again finding a little trouble in the fringes of the greens.
Severiano Ballesteros on day one here took 6 when he cut his tee shot away right, and Andrew Oldcorn has just taken 5 here. This 12th hole ranked the second toughest on the Valderrama course this week, 3.38, and very little margin for error.
Guys will be using around about a 3 or 2 iron. Lee, being a particularly strong individual, will be hitting just a nice 3 iron into a left to right breeze. Very difficult for a right-hander sometimes when the wind's coming off that left shoulder. Just got to be positive, and I think that's probably leaking away to the right as well. Yes, very similar. Same sort of shot as Jose. He has to be hit absolutely sweetly.
How difficult is the bunker shot from there?
They have a lot of green to work with, but invariably it's uphill all the way, and difficult to get the ball close when you have so much green between you and the bunker. But our leader spanking it down the middle of the fairway. You see the ball rolling from the left-hand side, quite a slope.
McNulty in 8th place in the order of merit. Victory here, it's £150,000 for first prize. Will leapfrog him over a few pretenders in front at the moment. McNulty is going for his 3rd victory of the season, and at the moment looking like he might just achieve that. Colin Montgomery on top, Ian Woosnam in 2nd place on the rankings. Robert Allenby, who played 1 shot here this week on Thursday, having fractured his sternum in a car accident quite close to here, quite close to the course when he was on holiday. And the defending champion, Alexander Cheka, finishes with a 77, 18 over par. And a disappointing week for him, and he's had a pretty disappointing season, Ross, hasn't he, on this side of the Atlantic and the other?
Yeah, he seemed to have set his sights on playing a little more in America, maybe getting his tour card over there, and I think he forgot where his home is, really. He performed very well over here last year, finished 5th in the order of merit, and maybe had designs on the pot of gold across the big sea.
Is there a temptation sometimes when you've won a tournament or won a couple of tournaments to relax a little bit, maybe not put in the work that you should be putting in? I think I've made it now.
Well, having not won a tournament, I can't really tell you that. I would imagine, I talk to a lot of players and they say, you know, you win 1 tournament, your first tournament, you want to win your second to prove that that's why you won your first one, and then after 2 you think, right, I should win 3. But as long as you keep practicing and keep working hard on your game, I'm sure there'll be plenty of fruitful times. This man has won many a tournament by just working hard and diligently, just keeping the ball in play. And there again, just placing his 3-wood or 4-wood in the perfect spot, just on the right half of the fairway, coming straight up the barrel of the green.
Now Westner, after that cracking tee shot at the 15th hole, another one of these long par 3s at Valderrama, 225 yards. 228.
228 today.
I'm being informed.
200 to the front and 28 from the front to the flag. Only 6 from the right-hand edge. And you can probably see that caddy's shoes disappearing in the bottom of the grass just by the edge of the green. It's very difficult around the edges of these greens. But Westner. Just a little bit of rush of blood on that one. It's a very quick green, this.
Bernhard Langer, well, he's won a tournament for each one of the last 17 years, but that record is about to end. Oh, my goodness. He talked to it and it listened. Doesn't often happen.
It must be Sunday.
That brings Langer back to 3 over par. Westner taps in at 15 and a par for him, still 1 under par. Westner, who won at the beginning of the season. Now the 17th, which caused a great consternation and gnashing of teeth yesterday, but where's the pin today, Ross?
Well, the pin's in a much kinder position today, but a pin on any part of this green is a difficult hole anyway. It's on the left-hand side. The players will be trying to possibly going for this green in 2 today. A little bit of breeze behind. If they're left with anything from sort of 210 yards down, they'll be taking this on. The pin just on the left side of your screen as we look at it now, probably about 6 yards from the back edge. So plenty of green and water in front.
Monty has slipped out to 8 over par. Now, that could go into the water. Ooh. Yeah. As Ross has been saying, the aprons here and the fringes and those little slopes are cut so tight. Number 1 cut. Skinhead cut at the barbers.
I'm not sure. I think the greenkeepers have gone out with a chamois leather and actually shined them today. Well, there's old McMagic again with one of his favourite clubs, a sand wedge, which he plays some wonderful shots with.
Caceres has dropped a shot there at the 12th hole, so he's gone back to 1 under par, and suddenly McNulty leads by 5 shots, and he's got a very good chance to make a birdie at 11. So this 12th hole, Ross, has bitten quite a few of the contenders.
It's a very tough hole. I myself made my first par of the week there. 3 bogeys and a par, which are probably around about the average for the hole. Exceedingly difficult with the wind whipping off the left and into you with such a long club. Lee Westwood with a fairly straightforward putt here. But unfortunately, yet again, for another bogey on this particular hole.
Yeah, that's 12th. That's Westner took 4 here. Caceres, Old Corn a double bogey. Westwood's just dropped a shot. And looking down the leaderboard, lots and lots of 4s at the 12th. Now McNulty, he's close to making a 4 at the 11th hole. 5-shot lead now. Westner and Caceres 1 under par, and then it's Torrance, Old Corn and Westwood at level. Frank Nobilo is 1 over par. He's just birdied the 11th though, having gone out in 38, which is 3 over par. What a shot that is from Frank Nobilo. Absolutely brilliant from the New Zealander.
Whereas most of the guys have been using 3 and 2 irons. You got out a little fairway wood, probably something around the 5 wood, and just held it up on the left to right wind, so it came down nice and softly. You saw how quickly that ball stopped. It was probably coming down from a great height.
Playing with the Scotsman, Gary Orr. Best finish this season at Wentworth in the PGA, 7th.
Anything on this green is seen as a good shot from some 220 yards away. Very small target.
There's a beautiful view of this golf course. 58 golf courses in the Andalucía region, including such greats as Sota Grande, Las Brisas, Aloha. And Andalucía is the home of flamenco dancing. 2 or 3 more bottles of Rioja and a victory here, and you might be able to talk McNulty into trying it tonight.
This 11th green, a particularly difficult green to read. With it being set up in the top of the hill, it's very difficult to say what the slope is, left to right, right to left. But this man has a wonderful touch with the blade. And there you go.
So 2 birdies in a row takes McNulty to 7 under and 6 clear. Yes, live it is, the final round of the Volvo Masters at Valderrama. Andrew Oldcorn, who by his own admission struggled a bit yesterday on the back 9, lost his concentration, lost his rhythm, and maybe it's happening again because he hooked one off the 12th tee and he's missed the 13th green right. Looking at Paul Broadhurst, who's 4 over par at this stage, and Sam Torrance level.
Fairly vicious haircut now Sam has these days, isn't it? The 15th hole, very difficult hole today. Straight into the wind. Slightly downhill, so it usually takes a little bit of the yardage off. The green, this sort of banana shape from left to right, and the green slopes that same way. It's quite a big target, but when you have such a long club in your hands, there's Sam with probably one of his little fairway woods. He carries 7 woods and 5 woods, and this is probably a little 5 wood. Starting that a little bit to the right and just drawing it back on the wind, and just a little bit too much. But yeah, it's a fairly straightforward shot from there. If it's a little bit quick though, he has an excellent touch. Very practiced hands.
Torrance, as we watch Westwood to 13, playing with Stephen Ames today, who played in the final group yesterday, but had a not his most memorable of rounds. But today he's gone out in 35 and he's level for his round. Well, Westwood catching one of the cork trees on the way in there, and pretty dangerous in there. I was hit in the head this morning by one of those falling acorns, and it was quite sore.
Well, perhaps it knocked a little bit of sense into you, Mark.
Would have needed more than one to do that. A couple of coconuts it would have taken. Frank Nobilo. He was 1 over par, and now 8 shots off the lead. So his challenge has diminished somewhat. Oh, what a great shot by Jose Caceres at the 13th, and pretty much stone dead.
Well, that one nearly went back in the water as well. Quite a lot of spin on that shot.
Plenty of vultures around the 17th green today, but like yesterday, it's a bit like a bull ring, and so far the golfing matadors are being beaten by the bull this 17th hole.
It's definitely a very difficult. It all depends on how you actually play the hole. If you go for it, it could be fantastic, or it could be absolute disaster. Mark. Down towards Oldcorn country. We know what happened with him there.
Acorn country as well. There's one of the invitees, along with David Frost. Shang Lan Wei from China, a 72, finishing 10 over par. But a pretty good performance from him this week. And he'll be, I'm sure, very pleased with his performance. Will have given him great experience, I imagine, playing in the Volvo Masters, Ross.
Great experience to see how he played with Paul Broadhurst on the first day, and Paul was telling me that he'd played with him in the World Cup, I think he did. And he was telling me he's a good player, and he's got a good future ahead of him.
So just 3 players now under par for the tournament.
One of them seems to be way ahead at the moment, but for a rather nasty shot, pulled it left into Acorn Oldcorn country, as Mark calls it. I'm sure Mr. Westner here will be thinking, if I can just make a couple of birdies, maybe the pressure will get on.
He's certainly a man who could take on the 17th. He hit an iron for his second shot in one of the earlier rounds. A very powerful player, and no doubt that will be on his mind.
I would, in this particular position in the tournament, he's either thinking, well, I've got to make birdie or eagle to secure second, or maybe cause a little problem to Mark McNulty, so I don't envisage him not having a go at the green.
There's Ian Woosnam with that back support on at the 18th for a 4. And a 74. Which isn't too bad for a man in such obvious pain. He picking the ball out of the hole earlier today rather gingerly. Of course, he's had back problems for quite a long period of time now. Westner at 16. So no problems for Westner, who won at Durban earlier in the season, the Players' Championship, FNB. And now he's about to take on the challenge of the par 5 17th. And it needs Westner to eagle that hole, really, to keep any sort of pressure on McNulty. 6 shots clear. But he has a problem or two to sort out at the 12th. Now Langer has a great record in this tournament. 5th last year, won it in 94, 3rd in 1991. Now McNulty, not as bad as Oldcorn, who was in the trees. And it's another delightful recovery.
I think Mark was very fortunate there to clip the trees and actually get him into the bunker. But Jose Caceres makes his tap-in birdie on the 13th, goes to 2 under par, 5 shots behind McNulty.
Yes, and into second place on his own now. And Westwood for a par at 13. He caught the trees with his second shot. And that's a brave putt from Westwood. Fine save. Seeing quite a bit of Paul Broadhurst today. At the 16th. Oh, and he's played a magnificent approach shot there. And a certain birdie for Paul Broadhurst, a man who has a real habit of shooting very low scores.
You know, when Paul gets on a roll, there's very little that stops him. He hits some wonderful iron shots, such as you just saw. He won the French Open last year, shooting a 63 the last round, and even had a 10, I think, on his card on the previous round. Yet still won the tournament by 8 shots. But, when everybody else was shooting 72, he was shooting 63.
Ian Riley saves par at the 12th, but he's 3 over. Managed to birdie the 11th, his first birdie of the day. Corseres, who yesterday had 18 straight pars. Another more topsy-turvy round today. But still a very solid performance from him. He's 1 under for his round, 2 under for the tournament. Of those on the course, Wayne Westner is putting together the best round. He's 4 under, looking at a 67 if he can par the last 2, but he wants a bit more than that. Now McNulty to maintain that 5-stroke lead over the Argentinian. Safely in. So 6 holes left, 5 shots clear. Closing stages of the Volvo Masters at Valderrama. Mark McNulty, 5 shots clear. Here's Peter Mitchell, who's had a good season. 3 over par for the tournament. And playing the 17th sensibly, but it's not over yet. He still has to negotiate the water and the treacherous slopes at the front of the green.
It seems, Mark, that the players are giving this hole a little bit more reverence today. Maybe they got their wrists cut yesterday with it, but taking it a little more sensibly, leaving themselves the right yardage to hit the ball into the hole, which is very important for getting spin on the ball.
Bernard Langer was in perfect shape after 2 yesterday, but as Ross so aptly described it, there was a Langer clanger and he dumped one into the water. It's still a tricky enough shot to have in from that range.
Well, there's still always the fact is that water is so final, so you've still got to keep your wits about you.
Ryder Cup, September 26th to 28th here at Valderrama. Next year, the Volvo Masters will probably stay on the Iberian Peninsula. I was speaking to one of the Volvo executives this morning. So obviously they want to keep it in a country that's warm at this time of the year. That's pretty important. May go to Soto Grande Old, the old course. And there is Valderrama, designed by Robert Trent Jones Sr. And then when Jaime Ortiz Patiño, the Bolivian tin tycoon, bought the course, he brought Trent Jones back again to refine a few holes. And Seve's been here to add his tuppence worth as well. Caceres at 14. But what a shot. He's hit a couple of cracking iron shots the last couple of holes, Ross.
Yeah, he seems to be really enjoying himself out there. That's the important thing when you get into these sort of situations, is to enjoy the position you're in. If you feel uncomfortable when you're in those positions, then it's very important to get yourself straightened out, and even just one shot that goes near to the flag can get you right on track and get you mentally much more prepared for the next strokes. Now, this particular shot here that Andrew Alcorn is faced with is exceedingly fast. I know, because I had the same sort of shot. And that's a wonderful touch down that hill. Straight down the hill, down the grain, downwind. Everything going against putting that ball close to the hole.
Bernhard Langer. '94 champion, coming to this final hole, the 72nd. Langer, who shot that absolutely amazing 62 here. That, of course, is the course record.
I think it'll be a long time before that's beaten, Mark. Beautifully holed from Frank. He has a lovely touch. This is an old putter he found in the depths of his room of indecisions, probably. And his 13th hole that Mark McNulty is faced with now. 402 yards. The fairway slightly slopes from left to right. The perfect position to hit it is just where the helicopter's coming to now. You can see those trees overhanging the fairway. You'll be hitting in about a 6 or 7 iron to a very small target set up on the top of a hill. And it's like an upturned saucer, and the ball can roll off the sides into this thick grass. And as you can see, marking the absolute perfect position. It looks like he's really enjoying himself out there, Mark. He seems to be right on track. When he hits a bad shot, he recovers well. I think we're definitely witnessing the champion here.
Yeah, not the sort of fella you expect to make too many errors or too many mistakes.
Definitely is a wily campaigner. He's been around a few years, and when he gets in these sort of positions, it has to be some mean feat to get past him, or even to catch him.
Yes, he's won over 40 times worldwide. He's twice finished second on the order of merit, Mark McNulty, 87 and in 1990. Westwood quite obviously having his best season.
You can see that ball just rolling on by the hole. See how quick these greens are today. Sun shining on this magnificent course, and it dries the greens out a little, makes them roll quicker and quicker.
Westwood 5th in the order of merit. He's at 8 top 10s on a tournament victory. I know a man who impressed Gary Player greatly when Player played with him at the Open in practice. Now Caceres for a birdie at the 14th. Another tough pin position just beyond that gaping bunker that reminds you of the jaw of a great white shark. Deep and nasty. Lots of teeth. 2 birdies in a row for Caceres. And he's 3 under par, and the deficit is cut to 4 shots. He looks now like the only player possibly who can catch McNulty, unless Westner can eagle 17.
Having made 2 birdies there on 13 and 14, puts him in a strong position in second on his own. 2 shots ahead of the 3rd place. I'm sure he's hoping that Mr. McNulty can make a mistake and he can just continue to go forward. Got a good momentum now to take into the finishing holes, tough finishing holes, 15, 16 playing a little easier today. That 17 always can be very, very tough, and 18 playing one of the most difficult holes all week.
I don't think that's for a birdie at the 18th. That'll be for a par, I'm pretty sure. But the former champion finishes this 1996 European season without a victory. First time in 17 years. So that's 2 records Langer has lost this year. Most tournaments without missing a cut, that went, and now that tournament victory record as well, or most years with. So there you are, 4 shots, McNulty's cushion. And he can make it 5 once again if he can roll this one in at 13.
I think a little bit of a misread there, expecting the ball to swing a lot further from the right. Saw how smoothly the ball rolled, even towards the end of the field, where they've had some 30 groups of players and caddies roll through. They still putt so true.
So McNulty pars the 13th and has a 4-shot lead over Jose Caceres. You're watching Andrew Oldcorn, who is currently 1 over par and 6 shots behind leader Mark McNulty in the final round of the Volvo Masters. The 14th hole, again placement very important off the tee, and then to the raised green, the pin right at the front, just beyond that cavernous bunker. Jose Caceres has just birdied the hole. It's a 2nd birdie in a row to go to 3 under. But Mark McNulty at the moment comfortably ahead by 4 shots. And McNulty on the 14th tee.
Yep. Right.
Ross McFarlane's alongside me, and he can talk about this course from a position of considerable strength, having shot 67 this morning, which included quite an amazing 3-putt at the last from some huge distance.
Nah, unfortunately, I didn't leave my perfect distance, which some people may know, but I'm not exactly adept with the wedge. And I thought discretion was the better part of valor, and out came the Texas wedge in a big whack from some 35, 40 yards in total. But unfortunately missed the 6-footer afterwards. Still, it was an enjoyable day at the links.
Yes, Ross moving currently 29th. And Frank Nobilo is in 6th place. One over par. What is a knuckleball off the tee?
Well, a knuckleball is where you try to hit the ball low and right to left so that it runs very hard. Usually when you're into a bit of a wind, that's the sort of shot that you play.
Something Raymond Burns mentioned, and I nodded my head knowledgeably, but I didn't really know what he meant, so I thought I'd ask you, with you being an expert. 18th Ross, ranked 4th toughest at Valderrama, and pretty difficult finishing hole.
No, very difficult hole. You can see the fairway here starts to bend around to the left-hand side, a very narrow area. The drives will be landing right about here, and then you go through this small gap of trees, and the green yet again raised up with this sharp cut at the front. And anything coming up short will roll some 30 or 40 yards back, and quite a big target for Valderrama, because a lot of the greens tend to be quite small. But all in all, a tough hole.
Wayne Westner failed to birdie 17. He's parred it, so he stays at 1 under par on his 72nd hole. And has he a shot from there?
Yes, that's a big drive from Wayne. He's probably carried the ball some 275 yards over those trees, and it'll leave him a pretty straight shot to the green. Shouldn't have any trees in the way. But this is a particularly difficult shot Jose's faced with. Some 30 yards or so. And look how quick that green is. And I think he's done a very fine job. Left himself an uphill into the grain putt, which if anything is the easier putt on the golf course. But really the damage was done on the tee shot.
14, McNulty with a slightly closed stance. And another fine iron shot from McNulty. And there's a reason for that closed stance, Ross?
Yes, I'm sure Mark seems to be working on trying to work his hips a little more left rather than laterally at impact. And by closing his stance out there, he feels you have to work harder to get the body to move left. And like a few of you may have heard me say yesterday, give me another sack of coal. It's like the right shoulder comes around a lot quicker. Finishes with his shoulders very level, very high. The right shoulder in particular very high. But with that, he doesn't take any deep divots. He tends to sweep the ball off the top of the surface and hits it with a little soft draw, which is probably the best shot you can play.
The grass is hardly bruised as he nips the ball away. Westwood, who dealt with the pressure of the Scandinavian Masters to win pretty well, though he said that on the last hole his hands went cold and numb.
That might have been the Scandinavian smorgasbord that he'd been eating.
Yeah, he's kept his hands in the fridge too long or something, I don't know.
Good pot.
But pressure and tension affect different players in different ways, does it, Ross?
Oh, definitely. Some people outwardly look very calm, but inwardly they're racing about. Some of them look like swans, but as you know, underneath the water, the old legs are going very quickly.
Old Corn using every inch of the hole again. Tickling one in. Series second place, 2 shots clear of Westner, who's third. And at the moment, the way McNulty's playing, it looks like it is a battle for second place. Oh, that is an absolutely great save from Caceres. And there's the owner, Mr. Patiño, in the middle there, the man who made a bob or two out of tin mining in Bolivia.
Just stand still over there, please.
Last night he was telling us that he's looking forward very much to the Ryder Cup here, and what he wants next is to hold a tournament from the World Tour if it ever happens.
I'm sure the World Tour will happen at some stage, and you get a gathering of all the top tour people. But the European Tour seems to go from strength to strength, in particular since the 2 years ago when the Ryder Cup was won, or a year ago, in fact. Just the seasons are so long for me these days. Seems such a long time ago. Mark is faced with a very quick putt here.
Yeah, he's certainly the favourite, though, for the Spanish gold at Valderrama. This would take him 5 shots clear of Caceres. There's a fine putt.
Seems to have a lovely touch on the greens this week. This is obviously why there's such a command on this tournament. It's if you can keep the 3 putts off your card, it can make a great big difference to your score. And very rarely you see this man 3 putt.
Stephen Ames, 9 pars in a row on the front 9. He was in second place, going out in the last 2 ball of the day yesterday. And that's the 17th, the hole described yesterday by Frank Nobilo as unfair. But doesn't look too unfair today when you play it like that. And that must be the best approach shot we've seen at this hole, Ross.
Absolutely, that was a terrific golf shot. It hits the ball quite high, Stephen, so he was probably hitting something in the order of 3 iron into there. So it's a good drive to get in that position.
But it shows it can be done. This is Wayne Westner. Remember Wayne losing a playoff to Nick Faldo at the Irish Open. He's left himself with a bit of work to do. You were putting from that sort of distance, but the other side of the hole today, Ross.
I think mine was another 15 yards or so further away than that. I had to come out of the trees and unfortunately couldn't reach the green.
Big lump right in front of you, seen it?
But your second putt, the one that you didn't hole, was the other side of the hole, was it? That sort of distance for Westner?
Yes, it was only a few yards away.
Mitchell has just holed for a par, a tricky putt for a round of a 70 and a total of 2 over par. 286. And another very solid performance from the ever-smiling Mitchell. A few players, of course, here, Ross, battling to finish. Oh, I tell you what, Nobilo's already chipped in twice during our coverage. The 18th on the second day and the 15th yesterday, and making a bit of a habit of it. But Nobilo has 1 over and well out of the lead. Yes, players hoping to finish top 15 to secure a spot in the US Open, so there's lots of things to play for here.
Yeah, I think Peter was trying his very hardest there. Made a good par-saving putt, which could be just enough to get him in the top 15. Peter set his sights on trying to play in a couple of other majors rather than the Open Championship, having never played in anything bar the Open. So it could be a great thrill for him.
Yes, began the tournament in 12th place on the order of merit. Gary Orr at 15. Orr and Nobilo playing together. Well, one of these players that addresses the ball off the heel of the club. Not with the putter, though. And we have seen before how fast that putt is. Is that to encourage you to bring the club down on the inside on the way down, addressing the driver off the heel, or just?
Yes, in particular, Fuzzy Zeller was a great exponent of that. It's sort of made you take the club outside on the backswing and then inside, making a sort of in-to-out attack. Hopefully getting the draw shape on the ball, which everybody tries to attain.
Andrew Oldcorn at level par. He birdied 16. Stephen Ames has eagled the 17th. Just a few moments ago, you saw his fabulous second shot. Didn't want too much spin on that one. Yeah, Stephen Ames, that took him from 11th into 4th spot with that eagle. Look at how Wayne Westner finished. Tricky putt, and it went. And Wayne Westner shot a 67, which equals the best score of the day attained by my colleague in the commentary box, Ross McFarlane. that must have gone. That looked like a big snapper.
Yeah, Stephen Ames there, probably a little excited after the eagle, the very rare bird in particular on the 17th. He'll be struggling to make par from wherever that ball is finished. Lovely close-up of the ball of Mark McNulty. And that's a sparkling iron shot. That's about the perfect spot. It's just rolling back towards the hole.
He's relentless today. It's that metronomic swing of his. Wearing the Ben Hogan style white cap and playing a bit like him at the moment as well.
Yes, extremely Hogan-esque.
Wayne Riley has stuttered and stammered a bit today. A waggle-a-holic, it seems from that. Remember old Fred Daly used to do that with a putter, lifting the putter head back and forth across the top of the ball. And the older he got and the twitchier he became on the greens, the more he used to do it. Well, we saw a beetle, what looked like a monstrous Jurassic Park-like beetle chasing Mark McNulty up the 11th yesterday. And not really
a praying mantis, that one.
It's a praying mantis, yeah. I wasn't sure there was a stick insect or a praying mantis. Quick phone call to David Attenborough, I think, to confirm that would be maybe a good idea. Insects not my strength. But then what is? Jose Caceres 3 under par and 4 shots by. Second place now, 2 shots clear of the man in third, and he's in the clubhouse. That's Wayne Westner. How difficult a pitch has he got from there?
Extremely quick from there, coming downhill, down grain. Lovely close-up of what happens to the ground here. It sort of explodes after the club goes into it. Don't take a big carpet-like divot like you do on a lot of the British courses.
It seems to evaporate in a sort of a talcum powder effect.
And there you see just how quick that was. It was a lovely touch. He landed that softly in the fringe. Couldn't get any spin out of the juicy green rough around the fringes of these greens. So it just released some 4.5, 5 feet by.
Back to Old Corn. 17. These players playing for big money this week. There's the prize fund, and then the bonus pool on top of that for those who finish in the top 15. So Peter Mitchell's putt will have been worth a few doubloons.
Not only prize money, but possibly bonus pool money. Something else to build for Peter. Peter likes to build houses all around his own, to put his kids in, and his family, and his wife, and mother-in-law. Maybe even his caddy will get a new house this year.
Yes, the caddies on the tour over the last few years, their status has improved quite considerably, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Paul Curry's caddy yesterday, we may have heard us mention him. He's the chairman of the European Tour Caddies Association. And he's managed to get a few deals for the lads. Something to wear, clothing, trainers. That's all a good sponsorship type thing. And now the caddies have a much higher profile than they ever used to. Gone are the days of the old saggy-bottomed old men, and now it's saggy-bottomed young men, I think.
Yeah. Yes, Martin Rowley, the caddy that Ross is talking about. I think they have an insurance scheme now as well, or loss of earnings scheme, so certainly the status has rocketed in the past few seasons.
Now Caceres has hold of a couple of good crucial putts in the last couple of holes.
It's a shot drop though, goes back to 2 under, and once again McNulty has got a 5-shot lead, and anytime someone looked like making a move, then a shot is almost immediately dropped, but then it is that type of golf course. Sam Torrance at level par, 2 under today. Good performance from Sam, continuing on from yesterday when he shot 68. There's that interesting hairstyle and beard, looks like a mean Roger Whittaker.
I've never heard him whistle, so I couldn't really say whether he's Roger Whittaker.
All those little acorns around his feet that fall off the cork trees, you've got to remove them from your stance.
I'm thinking maybe he's practicing for a little shoe shuffle dance with his wife Suzanne later.
Bit of flamenco. And a lovely iron shot to finish with for Sam Torrance. And a chance to get in and tie Westner for 3rd spot. £150,000 for first prize here, 100 grand for second, 56,000 for third.
And of course, Sam will be thinking of, at this stage, possibly of Ryder Cup points. A lot of Ryder Cup points to be gleaned at this tournament.
Yeah, he's an amazing points accumulator, Sam, through the decades, it seems now. When the Ryder Cup table begins, he never seems to have too much trouble making the side.
He's definitely a good man to have on the side. He hasn't got a great record in the tournament itself, but very determined, dogged style of player.
Good for the old team spirit too, I would imagine, Sam, with his personality.
Definitely. So, Mark McNulty, we've seen this putt a few times today, left to right and extremely quick. Just left of the hole. Oh, that was so close. He's probably feeling a little disappointed he's missed a putt.
So McNulty can eliminate mistakes. He should be able to coast home here at Valderrama. Those villas beside the course, not cheap, I wouldn't think. But McNulty could probably afford one if he wins here. £150,000 likely to be his in a very short space of time. 5-stroke lead, and ever since he moved into the lead yesterday, he has retained it and increased it indeed.
Andrew Olcombe with his tee shot just biting off the corner, and that's a perfect drive. We haven't seen one go that far down the fairway. He might be a little close to the tree on the right-hand side. It might cause him a little bit of a problem here, but with a shorter club he may be able to get over that and onto the line of the flag.
The sort of drive he would have loved to have hit at Druids Glen this year in the Irish Open. He came to the last in the lead. Looks like it's straight down the middle from the reaction of the marshal. Got a bit of a severe bounce, but then that fairway does slope that way, Ross.
Yeah, very big slope from right to left. It always makes a hole very difficult when the shape of the hole is actually left to right. So you feel it's sort of like a doubles against itself. Greg Turner. His brother Glenn, a famous cricketer. Oh.
Stephen Ames, who was way left off the tee in the trees. Level par for the tournament. He eagled the 17th, only the second eagle at the 17th today. Has proved to be an absolute brute of a golf hole this week. Especially yesterday with the pin cut on the front and the wind whistling behind. Eighth in the German Open, Stephen. Seventh in the Deutsche Bank.
Obviously likes German.
Seems to. He's not in the Trinidad and Tobago World Cup team, though. The natural picks would have been him and his brother Robert, but the Trinidad and Tobago Professional Golfers Association, if that's what they're called, have decided to go for a couple of locals who play all their golf on the islands. So that rules out their chances, I would imagine.
Lee Westwood at 17. By the way, his big swing at that one is definitely going for the flag. Will it stay? Will it stay? Yes, it does. That's a wonderful shot by Lee. He'll be pleased that's still on dry land. Oh, he's so happy about that.
But it really is going to be an extremely exciting hole in the Ryder Cup, isn't it, that 17th? Can't wait. Oh, there's a cracking finish from Sam Torrance, who's birdied the 18th. And that puts him into a tie for third place with Wayne Westner. A round of 68, back-to-back 68s for Sam Torrance. But it's McNulty, 5 shots clear. Andrew Olcorn's second shot to the 18th is judged to perfection. And it gives him a birdie putt. Stephen Ames has finished with a round of 70, 1 over par. He's in a tie for 7th spot with David Carter. As the sun begins to slip away here at Valderrama. What a setting this is for a golf tournament. Costa del Sol. This is golfing paradise, no question about that. And certainly how McNulty feels about it. He's going to win it. Something incredible happens over the last few holes. Doesn't think he's hit it. And he hasn't. David Frost returned a 68 as well. To finish in 2 over, tied for 9th. At 17, Lee Westwood, having hit a cracking second shot into this par 5. So he got a lot of height on his iron shot, and you can imagine what sort of crowds we'll get here for the Ryder Cup next year on this very bank. Natural amphitheatre. Very much in the style of a stadium hole, this one. There'll be plenty of whooping and hollering here in Europe, defend against the USA. Here's a man who might well make the team the way he's playing. Now this would take Westwood into a tie for 2nd place. Because Kusiri's, having dropped that shot at 16, has gone back to 2 under. 283, the clubhouse lead, shared by Westner and Torrance. Hope that's the sound of the water and not Lee's intestines as he rolls this one up stone dead. Pretty nerve-wracking hole, that 17th, and it's caused a few knees to knock and sweaty palms and much consternation. Paul McGinley in particular yesterday, who took an 8 at the hole, put his second, third into the water, had to place the ball after a couple of drops, and then went up to look at the line and came back and the ball had gone. It had rolled back into the water. He took an 8. Because it was ruled he had contributed to the ball setting off and moving a blade of grass a foot away from the ball. But that's the rule. The cruelest decision I've ever had, said Paul. Old Corn had just managed to clear the bunker at 18, and it's pretty much stone dead, I think, and he'll be happy enough with the par at the last. Tough finish. Series for a birdie. It's looking good. So he's stays 2 under, 5 behind, needs a par at the last. To finish on 2 under and certainly to establish a clubhouse lead. Lee Westwood, of course, he's had a birdie there, so he's 1 under. Series in second place, 2 under. Westner, Torrance, Westwood, 1 under par.
Now back to our leader, Mark McNulty, faced with a little chip shot from this fluffy rough. Seems to be lying pretty nicely. Quite a swing from right to left on this chip. It is just coming round now. Yet again, another lovely touch from Mark McNulty, leaving himself probably the easiest putt, apart from a tap-in, that is. Some 4.5, 5 feet straight up the hill.
Pretty good crowds here today. Cracking through that one again from Westwood. Seems to keep his head down a long time, but it hasn't worked on this occasion. And he's gone into Ames country.
You never know, he might be lucky enough. There's a cart path there. Could have bounded along the cart path and be quite close to the green.
Fine tournament for Andrew Oldcorn. Finishes on level par. Highlight for him, no doubt, the 66 on day 2. And he's in a tie. In fact, he's in 6th place on his own, Andrew Oldcorn. 72 today. Series watching that one very closely.
It's just about perfect there, just in the semi-rough. Seems to be lying very well. Now Gary Orr faced with a treacherous 17th. Put his drive in the perfect position.
It's a wee bit further and it catches that little slice of rough in the middle of the fairway, which is not met with the approval of everybody.
Is it dry? Is it wet? Is it dry? Is it wet?
Could be wet yet.
That's a very difficult position. In fact, almost similar to where Frank Nobilo was yesterday, but a pin a little kinder than it was.
And Nobilo found the water, of course, from there. Maybe that's why I said it was an unfair hole.
Still managed to make a wonderful 6, really.
What do you think of the 17th?
The 17th, in my opinion, is a genuine par 5. The finest 17th hole I've played today.
You have a future in politics, Mr. McFarlane. McNulty for his par at 16. Immaculately attired and an immaculate putting stroke. Another hole is safely negotiated. There's 2 to go. I'd be amazed if he goes for the 17th and 2. 5-4 finish. Thank you very much.
5-6 finish. Thank you very much as well, I would imagine.
Yes. An unfair hole, said Frank. If he holds this for a 3, he'll probably think it's the best par 5 in the world.
See Frank will be coming up a little ridge towards that hole. You saw it hop forward, the spin take effect, and then roll back towards his pitch mark. I think he'll be glad to get this hole over with. Into the little clubhouse for a cerveza.
Sí. ¿Te gusta el 4? ¿Cuánto había de bandera ayer? Había mucho más.
Do you understand that, Mark?
Sí, estaba
Yeah,
con.
it's Spanish.
Bueno. Escúchame, el viento viene de izquierda a derecha. Ojo con irnos al banque de la derecha. Así que jugala a la izquierda de la bandera.
I know what they're doing now. They're deciding what club it is.
I think he was actually telling him the yardage of where the pin is and how far behind the pin is. A lot of the players want to know how many yards there is behind the hole to the back edge of the green, just in case they flush the club and it goes a couple of yards further than they expect it to. And of course, you never know, out of a bit of semi-rough, a little bit of a flyer where the grass gets between the club face and the ball and you get no spin. The ball comes out hot. You can go some 20 or 30 yards further than you actually mean it to. But they seem to make good contact there. And made such a good contact from that semi-rough. You saw the backspin take effect. He leaves himself some 18 yards from the hole.
And there he is, the man who owns Valderrama, Mr. Patino. Very impressive gentleman. Held court last night in the clubhouse. He had his press cocktail party. Most enjoyable it was too. Hole 17 at Valderrama. We know all about it by now. Tapers gently to the right. And off a good drive, you then have a major decision to make. Stephen Ames certainly made the right one. He eagled this hole. The pin a little bit further to the left today. Tougher yesterday. McNulty is the sort of swing and whatever you. Well, apart from that one, was another unlucky bounce. But again, another one of these fairways that slopes quite severely.
Yes, they put some humps and hollows into this 17th, and that causes the ball to ricochet in all sorts of directions. Lee Westwood, obviously very fortunate from his drive, and a good chance to go at the flag, which is on the right side of the green. I'm sure he's quite happy to make the putting surface, but the pin's some 22 yards on, so he's got at least 22 and a bit to go.
Wasn't too far away from that ball rolling back quite a bit though, because that's up quite a slope to the green, isn't it, the 18th?
Yes, very slopey there.
It's Gary Orr. Look how far that one's gone past.
Gary, of course, was further up the bank. He obviously tried to chip it down into the swale and got caught up in the longer grass around the back of this green. So that will have been his fourth shot. Left with quite a bit of work to do to make his par. But of course he'll maybe learn a little bit about the line from the direction that his chip took as it went past the hole, and also with Mr. Nobilo putting first on a very similar line.
That's the green that yesterday we nicknamed Orcanis Orca. It looks as if someone's buried a whale beneath it. But unfair or not, no matter what your opinion is of this hole, it's going to make great viewing next September. Very much in the way the 18th at the Belfry was.
You saw Frank's ball finished absolutely dead behind the hole. Maybe just a little bit too much pace for the line that he took. Now, yesterday, Mark was very lucky to bounce out of this trap, but today, not quite as lucky. The one thing it does for him, though, that it leaves him no choice. All he has to do is just lay the ball up. But he's in that tongue of rough.
It's going to make it a bit more difficult for him, isn't it?
A lot depends on the lie. It'll be difficult to get the ball to stay on this green.
Rolls in a beautiful putt, and every putt at this stage worth a lot of money. He's 2 over par. He's tied for 9th with Frost, Mitchell, Richard Green, the first left-hander to play in the Volvo Masters. Nobilo 2 over as well. On Westwood, he's tied 3rd. But will drop to 6th if he doesn't get this one in. Or 2 putt, rather. Good putt from there, Ross.
That's a very good judge of distance. Leaves himself 2 foot at the most. So from 22, 23 yards, I have to say that's a pretty good touch. Seems to have wielded the blade very well in the second half of the season. Lee currently 5th in the order of merit. But,
yeah, it's going to be a 9th top 10 finish for him this season. It's good by anybody's standards. Riley, day to forget for him, 5 over. Hasn't had a birdie. 5 over for the tournament. Sorry, he birdied the 11th, but he's at 7 bogeys. That's more like it. From the former Scottish Open champion.
Gary Orr here at the difficult driving hole, the 18th. He tried to get it over the corner, and he's absolutely perfect position there. That's a wonderful tee shot from Gary. That sets up an excellent chance of attacking the hole. Shouldn't have any trouble with any of the trees guarding the entrance to the green.
Some good scores in today, apart from Ross's 67, which you know about. 67-2 from Wayne Westner, 68 from Torrance, back-to-back 68s for Sam. 68 from David Carter and from David Frost.
A lot of, all depends how this ball's lying here. Seems to be sitting up quite nicely. It's not a particularly long shot, probably some 115, 120 yards at the most. And this is the sort of range where Mr. McNulty has a wonderful touch. That same rhythm, slightly closed. And it just tiptoes over. I'm sure it's absolute relief for Mark. This is really the only danger left in his round.
Yeah, there have been several 8s at this hole, and not beyond the bounds of possibility that McNulty could have recorded the same number, and that would have changed the complexion somewhat. But he has a 6-shot lead. Jose Caceres could be costing himself a bit of money on the 18 if he doesn't successfully negotiate the next one. But the head of the field and strolling to victory now is Mark McNulty, and warm and deserved applause.
Maybe a few burnt individuals sat out there all day on the 17th, hoping to see eagles and birdies, and you never know, a little bit sadistically, we're hoping to see the odd triple bogey or two. But no triple bogeys for Lee. Wonderful tournament for Lee. 1 under par. A round of par today. 3 birdies, 3 bogeys.
Yeah, another tremendous performance. Very, very consistent this season, Lee Westwood. This was Jose Caceres for his par, and to stay on his own in 2nd place. Oh, costly. Costly or what? And he drops a shot back in 37 and joins 3 others on 1 under par in 2nd place. Westner, Torrance, Westwood.
Yes, Caceres had a very consistent week. 71-70, 71-71. It's a particularly difficult course, and that's tremendous scoring. Frank, with what looks like a 3 or 4 iron. By the flight there, it was a good 3 iron. And just catching the right-hand trap. Probably had to maneuver it around a couple of trees, because it was quite a long way back.
And this putt is for a 7-shot lead. And as he gets a chronic attack of the shanks in the last hole, he's going to enjoy his walk up 18.
Gary Orr now on the last, after the perfect drive, perfect position, looking like it's leaning a bit right. And yes, he has. He's leaked it away. He'll be very disappointed with that. Looking for a birdie to boost him up. Really doesn't want to drop anything away at this later stage.
So Lee Westwood looks like he's going to move up the Volvo rankings. Robert Allenby 3rd, here to pick up his bonus pool money, but of course he's going to give that to 2 cancer charities, and he only came here, he said, to maintain his Volvo ranking position. Very important to him. for all sorts of reasons. Hopefully an invitation to the Masters will be on its way soon. Colin Montgomery, and again a remarkable season for him. Not a remarkable tournament though. Maybe a bit of tiredness creeping in, the job done before he came to the Volvo Masters, having equalled Peter Oosterhuis's record of 4 Order of Merit titles in a row. Now the last time we'll be seeing the 17th, probably until the Ryder Cup next September. McNulty for a par. 2 under today, which is tremendous golf. Especially when you're in the lead, Ross.
Absolutely. He had everything to lose today. And the big prize to win. And he's doggedly stuck by his game plan. He's kept the ball in play. He's put it in the right spots on the greens. And of course, he's got a wonderful touch with the putter as well, which really does help. A good 2-putt there on 17. As he waves bye to that hole.
Yeah, the little contest for, well, not little, very important contest for Rookie of the Year. Thomas Bjorn and Raymond Russell finishing on 290 and Harrington on 292. So for my calculations, Bjorn is going to finish above the other two on the money list. And do you feel that will sway the judges' votes enough?
Well, I don't know who the judges are. And the 3 wonderful players this year, they've really shown how strong they are. They've enjoyed tournament wins. And this, of course, record, which will probably stand for a long, long time. Bernard Langer is 62.
It may stand forever now if the Volvo Masters does not come back to Valderrama. And of course, they may play that World Tour event in the future that Mr. Patino craves after a European Tour event, and such a prestigious one, and then the Ryder Cup. That's what's next for him, so you never know. In 10 years' time, somebody could shoot 60 around here. Goodness knows what clubs will be made of then, Ross, and shafts. And they'll find some metal on Pluto or something that hits the ball 380 yards.
They'll probably find that hickory was very good after all. Yes. And everybody will be using hickory again.
We'll discover a strange wood called persimmon.
Very rare beasts they are these days. Ian Woosnam still uses a persimmon-headed driver. Bernard Langer. And even Nick Faldo has been known to use his persimmon driver on a lot of occasions. But most people go for the metal-headed woods.
Can we go? Frank and then hit 10 seconds. Hey?
The marshals perhaps not doing their job correctly. A little wave from one of the red sweated marshals will say, off you go, Mr. McNulty. Go and win that tournament.
For my wanderings around the course this week, the marshals have been exceptionally efficient as far as I could see, and very, very polite, and always with a smile on their faces. And that doesn't happen at every tournament, I can tell you. Loch Lomond and Valderrama, the nicest marshals that I've encountered on tour this season. As I limbo dance underneath the ropes, trying to get a look at the pin positions and various other things for commentary. So you need understanding marshals when I'm scurrying about. Wayne Riley, popular route down this 18th today. A lot of the marshals here this week, expats, British folk who have decided to live here in Spain and enjoying their week as much as everybody else, no doubt. Privileged to be here. Privileged to watch the performance of this man, Mark McNulty. 6 shots clear. And he could probably go through a Noel Hunt trick routine and still win from there. So looks like Mark McNulty's going to be last out of the locker room, as they say in America. He'll have a barrage of media interviews to face and quotes to make. Champagne corks to pop.
Very costly that for Gary Orr. Moves him outside the top 10. From 9th tied to 13th tied now, with Carl Sunderson and Paul Broadhurst. They both had par rounds of 71. But a good week all in all for Gary. And it's nice to see him showing lots of form. And a former Rookie of the Year.
Yes, Mark McNulty has spent all week trying to avoid cork. Trees in this course, and I can't wait to get his hands on a bottle with a little bit in the neck of it. More vintage Rioja perhaps tonight for Mr. McNulty.
Maybe even go for the 1970 tonight.
It's been another fine Volvo Masters. The weather's been kind to us today, with it scudding clouds for quite a bit of the week, and yesterday the breeze did get up quite a bit, made it more difficult, but a glorious setting. Real top of the range stuff here. And would you agree it's the toughest course in Europe?
Well, of all the courses I've played in Europe, I'd have to say it's one of the toughest courses. You only have to see the scores at where you have the top 65, 66 best golfers in Europe playing here this week, and there's only 5 people under par at the end of the week.
Of course, scores v par won't be just so important when the Ryder Cup comes here. It's all match play, of course, and that will be interesting. Most of the tickets sold already. Big contingents of Brits will be jetting in here to Malaga to cheer on the defending champions.
Now Mark seems to have found a juicier bit of rough, a little bit thicker and greener, maybe where the sprinkler's been on a little bit more. Looks like he's played a nice shot. Not just a nice shot, it's a glorious shot for him to finish with. He'll be so pleased to get those all over with. Time for a little high five and a shake of the hands with his caddy Basil.
Yes, he certainly made sure he didn't relax too soon. I think he can certainly heave a sigh of relief now. It's all over. He's going to win it comfortably by 6 or 7 shots and receive the warm handshake and warm check from Mr. Patino. Closing moments after these. There you can see the large crowds here at Valderrama surging forward for a vantage point on the 72nd hole, and listen to the reception for the Volvo Masters champion. His playing partner Wayne Riley in trouble off the tee, and to give this one a real Antipodean thrash, which he did. Meanwhile, having a look at some of the spectacular moments from Mark McNulty's round of the 10th. Hole that he birdied, he followed it up with a birdie at 11. And it's been all par since then. And his performance today has been one of sheer dogged consistency.
Beautifully manicured bunkers here, waiting to catch a wry shot. Very difficult to play and a difficult shot. Wayne Hand was up the face. Stance was very awkward. When you tend to have that upslope of the bunker, you have to give it a little bit extra. As you tend to go a little bit deeper into the sand, and the club doesn't bounce as much underneath and help it on its way. That's why we have bounce on the sand wedge, so that when it enters the sand, it jumps back up underneath the ball and helps it on its way. Now Wayne was really hoping for a good shot so that he could continue and get out of the way, as what they always tend to do is allow the centre stage for the tournament champion to make the final putt.
Oh, the bloody camera. Gordon, do you need?
Stop. Camera's there, please.
Not his best day today, Wayne. Very disappointed. Only 2 birdies today on the 2 par 5s on the back 9, 11 and 17. They had a little run on the front 9. 4 bogeys in a row.
Yeah, it's amazing. From joint second, he could slip down to certainly well outside the top 15.
I'll get out of your road, Mark, shall I?
As you heard there, he's going to finish off and give Mark the centre stage. I'm sure Mark enjoying every moment of this. This will be his 3rd victory of the year, after victories in the Dimension Data Pro-Am in South Africa at the wonderful Sun City course, beating Ricky Willison of Enfield, finishing 2nd, and then beating Scott Hoke in the Dutch Open at Hilversum.
And now he's going to beat Westerner, Torrance, Caceres and Westwood, trailing by 6. Wayne Riley on a bogey 5 at the last, shoulders a little bit slumped and sagging. A thoroughly disappointing final round from him. Player who enjoys tough golf courses, but even a bit too tough for Wayne today, perhaps. So McNulty has umpteen putts to win.
Just a little left to right this putt, coming slightly up the green, a little bit uphill.
Oh, what a way to do it. What a stylish way to finish from a very stylish performer. His 15th European Tour success, and certainly one of the most prestigious of his career. Joining such luminaries as Nick Faldo and Ronan Rafferty, Sandy Lyle has won, Colin Montgomery, Bernhard Langer, and last year Alexander Cheka. Add to that Mark McNulty, the winner of the 1996 Volvo Masters at Valderrama by a really amazing 7-shot margin. How would you sum up McNulty's performance, Ross McFarlane?
It was an absolutely perfect performance for Mark. He was at the head of the field. Everybody had to catch him, and he set out his stalls with steady pars, birdies on the 3rd, and unfortunately his only 1 bogey in the last 36 holes came on the 7th, probably the 2nd or 3rd toughest hole of the week. And then as he turned back to play the dangerous back 9, birdies at 10 and 11 put him in a very commanding position. From that strong position, he went from strength to strength, 6 pars in a row, and then a wonderful birdie on the last.
And this is how the week began, on a misty and foggy Thursday morning. Play delayed by 50 minutes, and Robert Allenby had travelled all the way from Australia. Broken sternum in a car crash close to the course. And all he had to do was to hit one shot, which he did, suffering a sharp pain to that damaged chest of his. But that enabled to pick up his Volvo bonus. And he's giving all of that to charity. And 72 holes later and thousands of shots, the final blow of the tournament from the winner, Mark McNulty. Started with an Australian and finished with a Zimbabwean. So the 1996 Volvo Masters champion, Mark McNulty. And it really was a performance very worthy indeed of a champion. Didn't slip at all today, and those last 3 rounds all under 70. And round here, Ross, that is pretty outstanding stuff, isn't it?
It's truly outstanding, with quite a healthy breeze all week. He's managed to break 70, which, as you can see by the leaderboard, it wasn't done on very many occasions. It's a very tough par of 71, Valderrama. Sam Torrance with 2 wonderful rounds, the last 2 268s. See some of your favourite players here. Very steady performance from Peter Mitchell after an opening 74, 71, 71, 70.
Good to see Paul Curry coming back today after that very disappointing 81 yesterday. He led the tournament at the halfway stage by a couple of shots, but had a mare in round 3, but he's come back pretty strongly today. And Bernhard Langer, no wins for him this season. First time in 17 years. Diego Borrego, the Spaniard, on the home soil, and of course the locals here hoping to see a Spaniard in the Ryder Cup team next year. Thomas Bjorn finishing top of the rookies, and will now probably get the Rookie of the Year award. Ross McFarlane, 67 today. Great golf from the co-commentator. David Howell, who played with Robert Allenby in day 1, and of course all the focus was on Allenby, but Howell had to hang about for 50 minutes, drilled one down the first, birdied it, and he's finished on 9 over. Valderrama, just above Marbella. A beautiful harbour just below the course here. We've enjoyed several fine meals there over the last few nights. And
well, I'm here at the 18th green, very pleasant ceremony. Mr. Tuve Johannesson would like to present the trophy as president of Volvo Car Corporation. Present the trophy 1996 Volvo Masters to you, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Oh, it's shake hands first, yes. It is heavy, be careful.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's heavy.
It's a lovely trophy. You've won close to 40 tournaments, but you must be pretty proud of this one.
43.
I knew it was a lot.
I always like to keep my age with tournament victories, so I think this one's very special. It's a great golf course. It very demanding, whether the conditions are benign or whether they are windy. I'm very pleased the way I've played this week, and to shoot 8 under around here, I think I can say I'm really proud.
Well, you won the Dutch Open with a stretch of bogey-free golf, and you did pretty much the same thing here. Only 1 bogey since the 7th hole in your 2nd round. That's remarkable around this course.
Yes, Peter, it is. As I was saying to Basil at the beginning of the week, I came and we said, he said that we could win, and I said, yeah, I want to win here, and I definitely felt I was playing well enough. And the secret around Valderrama is to make sure you make little mistakes, and when you do make a mistake, that you're in the right position. Otherwise, all kinds of things can happen.
Well, congratulations, Mark, on becoming the 1996 Volvo Masters champion and the £150,000 check. I have some other business to take care of, and we'll go over to Mel Pyatt, who is managing director of the Volvo Event management company, who is largely responsible for this event being held at Valderrama and largely responsible for Volvo being involved in the European Tour since 1988. And Mel, you have a pleasant duty.
That's right, Colin. Congratulations on winning the Volvo ranking 1996. Many, many congratulations.
Thank you, Mel. That's kind of you. Thank you.
Colin, you played your first tournament this year at Dubai in March. You were £211,000 behind Ian Woosnam before you'd hit a stroke, and yet you clinched the Volvo ranking title 3 weeks ago. You must be very, very pleased.
I am. Anytime I emulate you, Peter, I'm delighted, and this is one of these weeks. Yeah, I mean, I gave Ian Woosnam a start, and all credit to him. He won the first 2 events, and I was sitting at home on my exercise bike trying to lose some weight, and all credit to him. But I managed to chew into that lead and eventually get so far ahead that I was okay to enjoy myself this week, although my golf didn't suggest that I enjoyed myself that much. But it's a great golf course, this, and I look forward to coming back here next September.
We weren't going to talk about this week's play for you, Colin, but what was the highlight of the year? Perhaps in Switzerland?
I suppose my weekend performance in Switzerland was good, but I think Dubai was the best win I've ever had in my 12 tour victories. I think to come out after a 3-month spell and not really know what's going to happen after losing sort of 2.5 to 3 stone and actually win was possibly my best tour victory.
Well, congratulations on the win this year and the previous 3. Thank you, Colin. Back to you, Steve.
So, Mark McNulty winning the Volvo Masters and Colin Montgomery winning the Order of Merit. There you are. He gets the top prize in the bonus pool, £150,000. Ian Woosnam in second spot, and Mark McNulty moving up. So it was Kevin Costner who won on the movie Tin Cup, and Mark McNulty has won the Volvo Masters at the home of the Tin Tycoon, Jaime Ortiz Patino. For myself and Ross McFarlane at the Volvo Masters, we've enjoyed your company. Goodbye.
The PGA European Tour was brought to you by Volvo.